Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Wrestling with Tragedy. And as always, you're joined by myself, Piers Austin. Also, over to my other side here is Kevin Rodriguez, aka Juan Strowman. Get those tacos. And also the Kingpin himself, Angel motherfucking Medina.
I just have one question before we get started.
Who was sniffing on the show?
How many episodes have we been doing so far? This is episode 18, and we got somebody sniffling during the intro video. And if it wasn't Angel, and it wasn't
me.
It wasn't me. I haven't been sniffing. I haven't got a blocked nose.
You're 6 months probation.
I was like, I know I made my joke on the thing in the beginning with the Tinky Winky thing, and then I'm like, okay, let me be quiet. And also in here, I'm like, who the fuck is that?
That was not me, motherfucker. That was not me. But tonight, guys,
don't you lie to me, motherfucker.
Hey, I have never lied a day in my life.
You're Australian. They all lie.
Fuck off. So anyway, guys, before we get into tonight's show, let's show some love for some of our sponsors, the guys that keep the lights on for us here at Wrestling with Tragedy. First off is Mayan Belts. Now, Mayan Belts are the best maker in championship belts in the world. Guys, seriously, they make the best custom championship belts, replica championship belts. Whatever you need, you can get it from those guys. Contact Eddie and Ira Williams, as they're seen in all the wrestling belt groups, and they will work out an amazing deal for you, and you will get an amazing championship. They have special payment plans where you can pay as little as $20 to $30 per paycheck until that belt is paid off. Our next sponsor is A-Rock Designs, run by Ashley Rodriguez. She does amazing work. She makes custom cups, hoodies, t-shirts, keychains, you name it, she makes it. She can design. Stop it. You name it, she makes it, and she can design it. She made me this custom CM Punk cup, which I absolutely love, and she's put a lot of great detail into it, and I gave no direction for it at all. I just said, I want a CM Punk cup, and she knocked it out of the park with that. So please hit up Mayan Belts on Facebook and speak to Ashley Rodriguez to get your custom cups today. Guys, also our Pro Wrestling Tee stores, we're in the process of getting our Wrestling with Tragedy store up and running, but in the meantime, you can head over to prowrestlingtees.com/wrestling review society or prowrestlingtees.com/MWA world for all of our awesome shirts. The banner's going to be running down the bottom all the way through this show, just so you guys make sure to catch it. But tonight, guys, or today, guys, for you guys, we're going to be discussing the Marty Jannetty story. And to be honest, with what's come out in the last couple of days about Marty Jannetty, and doing a little bit of digging into him, man, I don't know, man. Is he a guy that was a wasted talent and didn't get his opportunity, or is he just a complete fucking idiot? That's the $1 million question.
Well, the thing is, first of all, we have to say, this is just the information that we found out. This is what he said. This is not saying he killed anybody. We're just going off the story. He put it out there. We're going to address it. Kevin?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a post from Marty Jannetty's personal Facebook page. I believe it was dropped sometime around Wednesday. And
that looks like,
yeah. So it was dropped around Wednesday. You were saying, Kevin?
Yeah. Yeah. I just Angel said, "What the fuck?" And I didn't know if I did something wrong. But anyway,
I was just looking. I'm sorry. I was looking at her. I'm like, that's the ugliest bitch I ever seen. That's why I was like, what the fuck?
I should already be immune to this back and forth banter. But anyway, I'm just pulling it up on my phone because that text is a little small for me to read. But this dropped sometime around Wednesday. Marty Jannetty posted this to his personal Facebook page. In short while after he removed the post, but the post reads, "I never told anyone this. Even my good brother Gino, because Gino would have killed him. And I didn't want my brother gone. Hell, you'd only recently came home from Vietnam. I was 13 working at Victory Lane's bowling alley buying weed from a fag that worked there. And he put his hands on me. He dragged me around to the back of the building, and you already knew what he was going to do. This was not the first time I made somebody disappear." He goes on to talk about this for a little while longer, and he talks about the female that he was with, but he also states in there that the police should have looked in the river.
The Chattanooga River, whatever the... Now, Okay. Now, first,
that's a lot of information. That's a lot of information to take.
Yeah, that pipe meth is
bro. Fuck, he's on that hillbilly heroin.
Hillbilly heroin.
Hillbilly heroin.
Hillbilly
Pro
heroin.
wrestling T-shirt real soon. But the thing is, the messed up part is that
Angel, would you say he was going through hard times?
Hard times, daddy.
He's been going through a lot of hard times, baby, for a very long time. But the thing about Marty Jannetty in that story is just like, as I'm reading it, he's like, the guy dragged him to the back, like, okay, what do you mean dragged him? Led you by the hand, dragged you by the boot, like you buying some weed, and then he's dragging you in the back. I mean, dude, you don't put shit out there because the police are going to look into the matter, especially what you said. And he goes, this is not the first time this happened. Okay, so that means you killed before. Now they're going to make him look like he's a serial killer. And they're going to try to pin a lot of things that are related during that time frame when he was 13. Any missing person, any found body.
And see, the problem with this, Angel, is even though this is Marty Jannetty, the less successful of the Rockers, he's still very much a public figure to all wrestling fans. People who like.
Yeah, I mean,
on his Facebook page, and he's also got a lot of haters on his Facebook page. So whenever you say something like this, you can guarantee somebody's going to run and tell this to the police. They're going to start looking into it. And me being a current police officer, to me, like, I understand social media. Somebody could have grabbed his phone, posted it, whatever the case may be. This is a guilty conscience, an admission of guilt. You're going to want to look into something like this. But as we were talking in the backstage, this isn't the first. What's the word I'm looking? This isn't the first time Marty Jannetty's done something questionable. With that said, I want to turn it over to Piers. He's got a little bit more information than I do, and then we can kind of talk as we move along.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Frederick Martin Jannetty.
So Marty Jannetty, though, right? He's a 60-year-old guy. Okay, so a 60-year-old guy. So he's up there in age, man. He's been around, and you put a post out like that on social media. You know what I mean? Like, if you've got a guilty conscience, that's one thing, and a confession is one thing. Doing something for attention is another thing. And whether we don't know if there was a murder, there wasn't a murder, but from what I read as well, he was having a back and forth with someone saying, how does a 13-year-old kill a grown-ass man that's going to overpower him, overweigh him, and overstrength him? And he said that he picked up a brick.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I mean? Like, that was all the much that I could see into that. But to me, like, looking back at his career, though, like, he's just been a guy who just seems to be like in a self-destruction. And I kind of, you kind of put him in that same boat of, just a wasted talent. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only way I can really describe it. You look at, you look at pop culture, and you look at people like, Kurt Cobain, died at 27. Yes, Marty Jannetty's still alive, but they're both wasted talents.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain did not kill himself. Kurt Cobain did not kill himself.
Allegedly.
But hey, look, let's give Marty Jannetty, let's go back in time a little bit just to give an understanding of the people. Like, he wasn't always a fuck up. As I'm looking at my research here, I mean, he was a state champion in tournaments for 3 years in high school. He trained in boxing in the Golden Gloves, when he was younger. And he also won 2-time NJCAA qualifier, back in college in Alabama.
Yeah,
the guy had.
That's before he found alcohol and drugs, baby.
No, but he had talent, man. He had.
And I'm not saying he didn't have talent, but I'm just saying he also, may have loved wrestling, may have had the talent, but I think maybe loved the booze and the pills a little bit too more.
The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Bronx Tales.
I just feel like there's so much that was missing from what he did, and he basically was he was his own worst enemy. for his
Motherfucker
career.
needed a hug. He needed a daddy to hug him. He needed somebody to touch
I don't
him.
know if he needed that, but he just probably needed to be less self-destructive. I mean, you look at someone like, okay, more recent times, John Jones. You know what I mean? Like, put it in the same category as that. That guy keeps fucking up and fucking up and fucking up. The same did Marty Jannetty, and he got
but
John
Jones never said he killed somebody. He just can't pass a piss test.
That's what I'm saying. But neither could Marty Jannetty. And that's what I'm saying. Him being in that psycho state, putting out something like that, he could have been off his fucking dial, just thinking it's a cool thing to put out.
Oh, well, what do you think the downward spiral happened? Do you think he was a fuck up. Okay, that's why the reason why Shawn Michaels got the bigger push than he did. But where did it really start? Was it because of the stress of the business? Was it because he knew that Shawn was more talented than him? Where did the fuck up really happen? Because Shawn Michaels was fucked up after the fact when he became the Heartbreak Kid and all the drugs, and now he found Jesus. But he was a fuck up too at some point. He lost. Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that was a real big turning point for Marty Jannetty. So there was a time where he was teamed with the Rockers, and him and Shawn were clearly not happy with the company. And Marty Jannetty and Shawn had a talk saying, you know what, we're going to leave. We're done. We're going to leave the WWF. And Shawn tells Marty Jannetty that, if you go, I go. Wherever you go, we're going to go together, da-da-da-da-da. They don't go together. Marty goes at one time and Shawn goes at another time. And Marty pretty much walks up to management and says, look, I want this or I'm gone. Shawn turns around and goes up to management and goes, regardless of what happens, I'm staying here. I'm going to see this through to the end. I'm not leaving the company, da-da-da-da-da.
Snake.
I think that had a major factor in who got the push and who didn't. And when Marty Jannetty found out what Shawn had done, I'm not saying that he didn't have issues before that, but you have this guy that's your tag partner that you're supposed to trust, that's supposed to, finish your sentences and you ride the roads with, and now he can't even trust that guy. So I think that was a very big turning point for Marty Jannetty, along with the barbershop incident, because even though he knew it was coming, this was the first time the fans had seen it. During this time period, the fourth wall was still very much in effect. And until he got sent through that glass window in the barbershop, the fans thought everything was great. Once the fans realized the team was splitting up and all the fans decided we need to pick sides here, and everybody went to Shawn and kind of left Marty out in the cold, I think Marty kind of wanted the fans to be split. Okay, you got your Shawn fans, you got your Marty fans. But the more you looked at it, Marty had no fans and everybody was Shawn fans. And I think that was a very hard dose of reality for him to take. And it didn't start his downward spiral, but it definitely played a huge factor in it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. But as you look at the Rockers, they were kind of like, of course, like the Rock and Roll Express. And they both kind of looked alike body-wise and look-wise until Shawn Michaels started making his changes, physically, attitude-wise, and Marty Jannetty was still in that, that baby face look that kind of like was bland. My opinion. Shawn Michaels invested in himself to, get ahead a little bit more. And I'm not saying Jannetty's not talented. I'm not saying that. I think he's a hell of a talent. It's just that you could just see the difference of who was evolving in the group and who was just staying plateau,
But I think that, there was probably, who knows? It could have been like, okay, we can make a baby face or we can make a heel here. And Shawn was just the person who was able to excel further. But, following that, what happened, he was supposed to have a good 6-month feud with Shawn, with the payoff being at WrestleMania 8. So, at WrestleMania 8, they were supposed to have this big payoff match, but unfortunately, Marty Jannetty couldn't do that because he was under house arrest for attacking a police officer and preventing the angle to go ahead.
Okay.
So you look at it something like that, it's like, which guy would you invest in? The guy that can be here every single time that we need him to be here, or the guy that could be at house arrest for the next 6 months and we can't put him on TV?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Another thing about Marty Jannetty, and I know it just sounds like we're just tearing this man down, but Piers actually Piers brought this up in the backstage area. Angel just sent me the link. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and take a look at a clip from Marty Jannetty's one of Marty Jannetty's matches where he ultimately had to pay out, I believe, $500,000, and the WWE had to pay out another $10 million. Piers, before we get into the clip, you want to give a little backstory?
Yeah, sure. So Charles Austin was a professional wrestler, a guy who'd been training in professional wrestling for 6 weeks. What he did was he turned up at a WWF show, knocking on the door saying, "Hey, can I do some work for you guys tonight? Can I be one of the enhancement talent?" So they put him in a match where he was partnered with Lanny Poffo. We all know who Lanny is. And he then, the tag team they went against was the Rockers. When it came time for the finish, Charles Austin's head struck the mat, and in the process breaking his neck, leaving him immediately paralyzed. So 4 years later, Charles Austin sued WWF at the time and Marty Jannetty for a total of, I think it was about $26.5 million he was after, and they settled out of court where Jannetty paid $500,000 and WWE paid $10 million.
Now, just curiosity, you saying his name was Charles Austin, but was his ring name Chuck Austin? Because
Chuck Austin, yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Chuck Austin,
no, Charles Austin could have been his real name, but he went by Chuck. Okay, just wanted to make sure,
So let's go and take a look at this clip because, yeah, it's not the easiest thing to watch, and yeah, this is going to be a little spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. If you got a weak stomach, or if you don't like to see people get paralyzed instantly, turn away now.
Man, wow. Did you see that?
Angel?
No, we're making it work. But we're waiting for that. But that's the thing, man. I mean, it was okay.
Right, here we go.
Oh,
I love it. Ooh, that was cold-blooded.
And he just roll. Oh, see his head?
Knocked the fuck out.
No, that was sick. That was just.
See, but
and he just flops him over, man. Look at that. That's just
okay. But you got to look at it like this. Look just like the Steamboat situation. Just when Jake the Snake gave him the DDT on the concrete. You don't know. You know. In his defense, it happens.
Yeah, that's.
Now the problem is he in the settlement, $500,000, $10 million from WWE. I'm surprised. I don't understand how Sean got away with that. Nothing bad. I'm just saying at the end of that match, they both went up to the top rope and did the fist on the face. And just like anything, they say, oh, he could have been held accountable and also been a factor in his neck.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you heard it in the video clip there, but Chuck Austin says that he told he told Marty Jannetty when he hit the mat that something went wrong, that he was not okay. So when he goes and he tags Sean in, if he didn't relay that information to Sean thinks he's selling. Now, Angel, you being a former police officer, me being a current police officer, it's all about the information that you know at the time. It's called totality of the circumstances. And the totality of this circumstance is, unless Marty told Sean, which I highly doubt, but then again, Sean was a bit of an asshole back then too. Yeah. So who really knows? But there's a very, very, very good argument that Sean had no idea. So I can't speak of why Sean didn't have to pay, but if I had to go out on a limb, I would say Sean didn't know he was hurt, or Sean may have known, but he wasn't told he was hurt.
Okay, so just curiosity in regards to that, and I'm just trying to wrap my brain around this. So let's look at the Draws and the D'Lo Brown situation. How come he didn't get sued during that time when he hurt?
Because WWE was giving him money, big money.
Because Draws wasn't a jobber; he was one of the boys, and he understood what he was getting himself into. That's the biggest problem. And Angel, you could probably speak to this a lot better than I can. But this, in my opinion, this is one of the biggest problems in professional wrestling from the start of it to now. You have guys who are on the main card, who are on the main scene, who are on the pay-per-views, stuff like that, very much like the Rockers were at the time, very much like you were at the time, Angel. And then you have people wanting to break into the business. They're outside knocking on the door. And I'm not saying if you get hurt, let it go, brush it off. But you have to understand, nobody held a gun to your head and told you get in that ring.
But also as well, there should be insurance on that. Like you have insurance on your health and stuff like that before you would get in there and do something like that.
Angel, correct me if I'm wrong. Don't a lot of major companies make you sign a waiver?
As far as I know, yes, but in ECW we didn't. There was no waiver signed in ECW. So, there was barely contract signed in ECW though, right? Like guys there were more committed to like getting that brand over than like. But if someone happened like and got injured severely in ECW, would one of the guys have then tried to sue Paul Heyman for $26 million? But look at the mass transit incident. I mean, that kid tried to sue and he didn't get shit. And the judge was like, you knew what was going on. You knew it was pro wrestling. You knew that you'd possibly get injured. That's why that's the weird part about it is that, again, I'm not defending Marty I'm just looking at it from a bigger perspective in the business. But the thing is that, the mass transit incident where, with New Jack, he tried to sue ECW, but the judge kind of pick up that gavel, shit on him.
Well, look at John Strassel. Everybody knows who that is, correct?
Yeah.
And that's and I understand he wasn't a pro wrestler. For those of you who don't know, Dr. David Schultz, one of the guys who never broke character, was being interviewed by a guy by the name of John Strassel. And Strassel basically told David Schultz, I think wrestling's fake. And David slapped the piss out of him, not once, but twice. And later on, David gets sued and whatnot, and Strassel gets a X amount of dollars. But the point I'm trying to make is everybody wants to now. Obviously, this situation is different because the guy actually did get injured. You stub your toe on a ring post, and you're like, and people are like, "Oh, I'm going to get millions of dollars because I hurt myself." No, fuck, you didn't. You knew what you were getting into. You stepped in the middle of a ring. You stepped in front of David Schultz and called wrestling fake. You knew exactly what the hell you were doing. No money for you. Court adjourned.
But with the Marty Jannetty incident as well, like looking at that, like it doesn't look like it was. Jannetty was being reckless in that clip. It kind of just looked unfortunate, just weird angle that the guy landed and the guy's head position. Like it's almost like the guy was trying to tuck his chin to take the bump and took it on.
Okay, but the problem is this: the first thing in the beginning of that sentence is pro wrestler. You're a professional. You got to a point in your career to be on TV, to perform. So he took a fucked up bump. Again, I'm not defending Marty. I'm just looking at it from like, if I got hurt, I'd be pissed. Yeah, if I broke my neck and I was crippled, yeah, fuck. Now,
I'm not attacking Marty on it. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying you are. I'm just looking at it from the wrestler's point of view. Because look at like I said, Ricky Steamboat and Jake the Snake Roberts when he DDT'd him on the concrete and he had that big old hematoma on his head, which he still has to this day. Thank God he didn't have any severe injuries or maybe, something, but. Ricky Steamboat, could have sued, but he knew like, it's part of the business. I got hurt because I told him to give me a DDT.
But I'm saying to take the actual injury itself, like looking at whose fault it was, it doesn't look like Marty was reckless in doing that finisher. It looked like as far as the guy concerned, what I'm saying is the guy who was 6 weeks into training and being on WWF television, like back then, was there really that like not a lot of jobbers around?
No, DeVito was a jobber. He was there for a long time. No, but 6 weeks of training, yeah, you're right. That's one thing I would have been like, he needed more time. He needed more to get a little more seasoned, more under his belt before he got in the ring. But again, that could have been used in the defense as well, saying, hey, this guy was green.
Well, another thing is, we talk about him taking the bump and messing up on the bump, and I'm not going to show this clip because I'm 98% sure it's trademarked. But anyway, let's go back to AJ Styles versus James Ellsworth. Now, we had James Ellsworth on this show, or as a topic on this show for a very different reason. But does anybody remember the episode of SmackDown where James Ellsworth was going to take a Styles Clash, and as he's hanging upside down, he tucks his chin? But with a Styles Clash, you literally fall flat on your face. So 9 times out of 10 in pro wrestling, on a bump, you want to tuck your chin.
Mm-hmm.
But on this particular move, you want to pull your head back because your chest is going to hit the mat. We could have seen a very similar situation to this with James Ellsworth. Does anybody remember that match?
Yeah, I remember that.
That would have been absolutely horrible. So, and James Ellsworth, whether you want to believe it or not, has had a lot more than 6 weeks training. So I do agree with you guys that, 6 weeks is not long enough to have somebody on TV, but this stuff can happen to anybody. Angel, are you trying to find the clip?
Yeah, I'm trying to look for it. So,
but that's the thing, man. Like, even look at more recently than that, where they had Undertaker versus Goldberg, and Goldberg picked him up for the jackhammer and almost fucking spiked Taker on his skull. So it's crazy, man. Look at situations like that. It's really hard to really say, like, probably WWE back then probably should have asked a lot more questions, like, where have you been training? Who have you been training? How long have you been training? And like 6 weeks, if someone told him that, like, imagine it now. If you turned up at WWE and go, hey, I'm 6 weeks in at indie training down at the local promotion. Can I come and be a jobber? I mean, there's no way you'd even be allowed in the front door. But
no, you're absolutely right, and that's why the WWE has the Performance Center, and they've taken measures to prevent stuff like this. But at the same time, we still see them pulling jobbers out of the crowd all the time. But even their jobbers still go through extensive training.
Well, all right, I'm sorry, I found it.
You. I was just going to send it to you.
You sat down and you were interviewing Chico Adams the other day, who's been, an extra for WWE, Impact Wrestling, AEW, and even he said himself, he's like, they ask questions around, okay, who's up and coming, who's got, when he said that on your interview, it was like, it makes sense that they would more do that, and word gets around that way than people obviously going to WWE going, hey, because look, let's face it, all the top trainers in the world, WWE knows them or has some sort of relationship with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and he said that WWE normally reaches out to him through his school. He trained at the Wild Samoan School, but let's get back into things with Marty Jannetty.
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
So he makes this post where he kind of doesn't really, more than likely, admits to murder, and he also says it's not the first time that he's done it. Then he comes on and readdresses what he had said. I didn't get a chance to read the article. Angel, you mind filling us in on what that article said?
Well, I mean, in the article, he advised that. Let me bring that up here. Bear with me. The thing about it is that he was saying, like, oh, I never said he disappeared. I didn't mean it like that. I just said you couldn't find him. So he was kind of like backtracking on his story because he just didn't feel.
It almost made it sound like the original post made it sound like he murdered somebody, and then the retraction made it sound like he was like, "Hey, bub, get out of town," or something like that, and that's why people couldn't find him. But
let me go. Let me go off this.
Chattanooga River.
When you look at the post originally from the beginning, okay, he admits to some type of crime, but then he goes off track to talk about this Jamaican girl. Like, it just didn't flow right. Like, I thought he was going to say, like, and she was next. It was a wrap. Once you fucked me over, I took you to the Chattanooga River and dumped you into, like, the Atlanta child murders, where he was dumping kids into the river. So the thing about Marty Jannetty is that when you read the post, it's like, man, is he fucking stoned, drunk, whatever? He's just talking shit. But once he, like I said, once he put it out there, and once he was, like, saying that he did something, he made somebody disappear in the Chattanooga River, and this is not the first time, cops are going to fucking go, hold on a second. Let's look at back, cold case files.
And I wonder why. Angel, what's the only crime without a statute of limitations?
Murder. And probably in Australia as well.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this,
everywhere.
Right? Let me ask you this, right? Kevin, you're a police officer. Angel, you're a former police officer. He's in his post, he confessed to making someone disappear, right? Disappear. He was 13 years of age. The person tried to drag him around the back of a building. So even if he did murder someone at the age of 13 years of age and say murdered someone else when he was, say, 14 years of age, all right, these are crimes that happened when he was a minor. He is now 60 years of age. Can you really still trial?
Yes.
Would you trial him as an adult though now,
Yes.
even though it happened as when he was a child?
Yes.
Yes. Now,
here's the problems you run into, and I'm not trying to cut Angel off.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's the problems you run into. Yes, you would try him as an adult. Yes, you would look into cold case files. Yes, you would look into missing persons around that time. But the problems you're going to run into is, like you said, 13 years old. He is now 60. That is 47 years of lost evidence, degraded evidence, cover-ups. It's going to be really hard to go back and just look at where forensic science was then to where it is now. It's gonna be really hard to try to make some connections. But the part where he really screws himself over, and this will be my last thing before I turn it over to Angel, and I'd really like to get his
my opinion. Go ahead.
Feedback. This isn't the first time I've made somebody disappear, so automatically ding 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 in any homicide detective's head, you are now looking into every missing person's report, and anything that even looks like it may able to be the dots can be connected, he's going to be accused of. Right or wrong, Angel?
That's true. I mean, I agree with you. And this is what he said. He said, I didn't say I killed him. He continued. I said he disappeared. Jannetty said he jumped out of the car after the man tried to fondle him. Well, of course, in his statement, he didn't say about him being in the car. He said the man grabbed him by the hair and shirt and dragged him into the back of the bowling alley and threw him to the ground. Now he's getting into details in this article saying this is what happened. But in the post, he just said, hey, the guy just took me to the back. Like he led him, like he said dragged him. But I'm trying to visually see how he either dragged him or dragged him, like led him by the hand. Like, hey, come here, let me talk to you.
But also, I'd like to know what time of day it would be. Because, like, could you imagine, like, being
a
bowling alley in the middle of the day?
I think it was at night, like in the evening. I mean, my thought pattern. Go ahead, Kevin.
Even then, like, wouldn't there be people in and out of that area?
Oh, I was just gonna make a joke. You say he was trying to fondle him. You said that he was trying to fondle him, correct?
Yeah.
You think he was trying to get the bits?
Oh, he was good. Thanks for the bits, Marty.
Thanks for the bits.
But the thing is, Marty said, but also Marty said he picked up a brick from the ground and beat the man in the head. Again, he didn't say that in his post. And I know it's a short post, but now he's getting into details like, okay, you hit him in the head with a brick.
Well, here's the thing that I immediately go to. He says he drug him to the back. He tried to hit him with a brick.
No,
but didn't he just say he jumped out of a moving car?
He said he jumped out of a car. He didn't say moving. So how did he get into that car at that point? I know he was trying to buy weed, but like I said, from one statement to the other, he was missing a lot of the meat of that story.
Like, how do you go from the back of an alley, being drug out of the building, hitting him with a brick, but you're in a car?
You know what it almost sounds like, because he puts it back onto his at the end of that post, he says something about his Jamaican girlfriend, correct?
Which I don't see where this leads with that story. Yeah.
Well, like maybe it was like him saying to her, like, fuck you, bitch. Like he's trying to be like tough and say, like, you fucked me over, I'll make you disappear. You know what I mean? Like trying to like just be like a little bit of an empty threat. Like it, but obviously, like he may have been fucked up and under the influence, he's like, yeah, fuck this, I'm a bad motherfucker. And then oh shit, that didn't come out the way I wanted it to be.
The way I read it is like, if I was the same person back then, you would have been done like I did to this dude in the Chattanooga River. But since I'm a bigger person, I don't need you in my life. I'm a different person than I was before. But if it was me back then, you would have been murked. That's the way I'm reading it from that story.
But that's what I mean. Like maybe he was just saying that to be like, trying to be the tough guy to a fucking woman. Who knows the story behind that fucking tragedy? Like, let's be honest, guys. Like,
but why? Because again, first of all, I never post anything on Facebook, anything personal. Even I'm not saying murder or anything, but damn, you put it out there, you're putting yourself in the crosshairs of the law. Period. Regardless if it's fact or fiction, they're gonna look into it. They're gonna grill you. They're gonna look at any case that's similar, or even in that era when he was 13 years old, and try to pin it. Not say pin it on him like on purpose, but they're like, wait, we got to look into this. It's gonna be a minute. I mean,
He's
yeah,
he's opening himself up to a whole bunch of shit that he wouldn't have even had to worry about if he just kept his mouth shut. And I'm not trying to justify murder or anything, but as we say all the time on the show, these things are alleged until proven otherwise. This is still just an alleged, police are looking into it. This
Yeah, like
but biggest examples. This is one of the biggest examples of something that Angel and I are taught from day one in the police academy. When you put something online, whether you delete it or not, it is out there forever. Case in point being, yes, he posted it. He deleted the post. For the 3 people on this screen right now, raise your hand if you have a screenshot of it. Just because you delete it doesn't mean it's fucking gone.
Somebody clips on it real quick. Now, the funny thing is that for a fact that the police department is going to go to that bowling alley, find out the employee records to find out who was working that night, and supposedly disappeared. Because if he disappeared, they're going to go,
Dude,
Johnny.
They're gonna go through 40 years of shit.
But they're gonna go. The thing is this: if he disappeared, for a fact, if you're working in a bowling alley, Dairy Queen, they're gonna go, hey Johnny, where's Michael? He was supposed to throw out the trash. Oh, he was just here 10 minutes ago. What's going on? Like they're gonna be a missing persons report or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Kevin, don't you agree? Yeah. I mean, they're going to look at the employee records and find out who was missing that day or any questionable.
Well, let me bring this. Let me bring this up, because even if there wasn't a missing persons report, let's say that this person lived alone, had no family, whatever the case may be. What's one thing that 99.9% of employers give when they terminate you? They give a termination notice. One for you, one for the records, all this other good stuff. Let's just say, like you said, Mr. John whatever goes out to take the trash out and never comes back. Next 2 shifts, he's no call, no show. He continues. He never shows up for work, but he never quit. So now they terminate him. They take that termination letter, they send it to his house. They keep one for their personal records. Now detectives go down there and they're looking through, their business files and everything, and they find a termination letter for somebody who, right around this time, stopped showing up for work.
Yeah, but I don't think companies would keep that information 40 years after the fact, though. You know what I mean?
Maybe they wouldn't.
Well, it depends how seedy the play. I mean, if it's seedy, if it's a respectable joint, also if it's still there. But if there's a paycheck involved, unless he was getting paid cash, there's going to be a tax record and stuff like that of that he paid money. So even if the bowling alley is no longer there, which I'm trying to see the name of the bowling alley, see if it's still in existence.
But guys, it's like going through a needle, trying to find a needle in a haystack. You're going to try and find someone who you don't even know the name.
We understand that Australia is facing major technological advance restrictions that America has. We understand we're light years ahead of you, and we understand times a lot easier than you. So just relax and let the grown-ups talk for a second, Piers.
Now, Piers,
get your sippy cup and get your crackers, and me and Angel will take care of this.
Now, don't get me wrong. I totally understand that you could take anybody in the bush and make them disappear like in the land of the lost. There's a lot of fucking holes in Australia to make a guy disappear. Dingo ate my baby, and
you fucking racist prick. No, but what I'm saying is,
Boom Glover.
To go through that much of an investigation, off one person's post, where would they start from that, Kevin? As a detective, where would you start from the? You get handed this case.
Go ahead, Kevin.
There's a
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to Marty Jannetty, and I'm going to have him explain the post. I'm going to be like, look. Because at the time,
I'm sorry, Kev. They're going to be like, "Hey, why don't you come down to the station?"
No, absolutely.
Okay, let's play it out. Right? I'll be Marty Jannetty. You be the police officer. Interrogate me. Ask the questions.
Well, the first thing there's a lot that goes into interrogating and questioning, but it go along the line something more or less than. So we just need to talk to you about this post you made. We've got a lot of feedback from it. You're a public figure. You have a lot of fans on your page. They reached out. They want to know, or they sent this to us, and I have a legal obligation to follow up on it. What are you talking about in this post? It's not the first time you've made somebody disappear and all this other stuff. Can you explain this post to me?
Well, man, where it all starts, man, I was on the sauce last night, and, me and my girl, we had a big old fight, and, well, fuck, she fucked off. And
drums out.
All right, I apologize. Well, basically, yeah, I got fucked up last night. Me and my girl had a fight, and I was like, fucking, I don't know. Next thing I woke up, and I was like, oh, shit. I didn't mean that. I was drunk. I was belligerent. It is what it is.
Now, in the interview, I mean, the way I would approach it is you hit those hurt points. You try to dig a little deeper. Try to justify, like, hey, I totally understand that this is, a post. Why would you put something like that? And, of course, he's going to go into the fact that, he was arguing with his girlfriend, and they dig a little deeper. And I say,
that's what I mean. Like saying, no, I was fucked up. I was arguing with my girlfriend. It is what it is. I just blacked out. I didn't even realize I did.
I will go ahead and tell you this, Piers. Regardless of what you say to me, regardless of how convincing you are, if you think the conversation ends with me and you because you convinced me, you're wrong.
Yes. No, I'm not convincing you at all.
The second you leave, as we call it, the box, the second you walk out of the box and you're away, I'm going to the police station, or not police station. I'm going to the bowling alley if it's still around. I am going to try my best to find employment records, whatever the case may be, and try to get something to go off of there. And you said something earlier about would they really want to go digging into this 50-year cold case. Let me put it to you like this. You see a 50-year cold case. What me and Angel see is a very high priority person, a public figure who got away with murder, and we have a chance to solve it. Not only that, you have a grieving family, 50 years later.
Yeah.
But you have somebody who never got justice. So it is due to that obligation to give every victim justice. You're damn right we're going to take that case.
Now, Kevin,
7 days a week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah. And
I was just asking the question. I mean,
okay, no, I understand.
Fighting an uphill battle is what I was getting at. I wasn't to disrespect the.
No, you're not. But this is the angle that most agencies do. You're sitting in the room. Well, first thing we do is come in and go, how you doing, Marty, Jannetty? I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come down to clear this up. I just want to introduce you to my partner, Kevin Rodriguez. We're going to ask you a couple of series of questions in regards to your post. Hey, do you want any water? Are you okay? Give us a few minutes. We're going to look at some paperwork, and then they're going to monitor you on the camera. They're going to see your body language. They're going to see how you're going to be like, fuck, shit. Why did I do that? Damn it. They look at those things. So they feed off that. They make you sweat. They don't come in there and go, boom, we're going to ask you these hard questions. They're going to let you simmer, make you sweat. The juice is flowing. I mean, Kevin, do you agree? I mean, that's how we did it here.
Absolutely. Another thing that we're told from day one is 80 to 90% of the conversation is nonverbal. We're going to hit on your body language, your cues that you're giving off. If we walk out and you're just like, I just want to get this over. I got some Hot Pockets in the microwave at home. I really want to go eat those. But if you're sitting there and you're sweating bullets and it's 68 degrees in that room.
Yeah.
If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks, it's probably a fucking murderer.
And the thing is that they're going to try to hit those hurt points. They're going to bring up the story of, in regards like, that's got to be hard being 13 and being put in a situation with a grown man trying to fondle you. Man, I would definitely be in that.
Thanks for the bits.
Yeah, they would have definitely done. They make you hit those hurt points in regards to saying, like, to justify what you did. They're going to say, yeah, man, I would have done the same thing. I mean, being touched at that age, that's traumatizing.
But that must be a hard thing to investigate for a police officer. Like, someone turns around and was murdered, and the reason why they were murdered is they were trying to rape someone. You know what I mean? Or try and take it like sexually abuse.
Yeah, you have to separate. You have to separate yourself and just look at the. I mean, I've been in rape cases. I've been in murder cases. I've been in child abuse cases and pedophile cases. Yeah, my personal feelings. Yeah, I want to choke the guy out. But then you just got to separate those two entities and just look at it like a barrel of a gun. You're looking straight and you're trying to get to the facts. So that's the key thing. I understand what you're saying, Pierce, but you have to separate your mind from your training, so you can get to the meat of that story, to get that guy to admit that he did something wrong, or to find evidence that he did something wrong. And again, I've been out of the loop for a very long time, so hopefully Kevin will correct me if I'm not hitting the right key points.
No, you absolutely are. Just the only thing I would add to that is one of the things that I was told from a senior officer who I truly admire and respect when you go through these things is...
Yeah.
Look, while Kevin comes back in, we're just waiting for him to come back in. Guys, as I said earlier in the show, you can head over to our Pro Wrestling Tees stores. One of them is prowrestlingtees.com/wrestling review society, and the other Pro Wrestling Tees store is prowrestlingtees.com/MWA World. Kevin's now back to us, and we're going to take off right where we left off. Kevin, you were just mentioning someone that's one of your mentors in the police force.
Yeah. One of the people that I truly admire and respect told me in one of the very early cases that I worked on, don't try to understand why. Obviously you want to get your facts, you want to do the most research you can, but don't try to understand why people do the things they do. And this advice doesn't work for everybody, but it worked for me. Don't try to understand why a grown man wants to go fondle a child. Don't try to understand why somebody wants to go murder somebody. Yeah. The best way I've ever heard it said was after having this conversation, he said, look, you just have to understand some toys come out of the factory broken. There's nothing we can do about it, but we owe it to the victims to get them some kind of justice. And if you sit there and you try to understand why people do the things they do in these heinous cases like this, you're going to take that shit home with you, and that's the worst thing you could ever do. And I'm sure Angel could agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in situations where I remember since I speak Spanish, I had to go down to EMCU, and that's the Exploding Missing Children's Unit. And they had me to go downstairs to speak to this guy who was fondling his niece, if I recall. And the gentleman was just telling me in Spanish, like, yeah, she understood me. And, you know, we clicked, and you're just looking at him. Again, I'm separating myself from my feelings.
You have to.
But the first instinct that came up is that scene from Joe Pesci. Was what the fuck is so funny about me? Is like, what the fuck kind of, you know, how you guys can relate. How the fuck can you relate with a 5-year-old kid? Who the fuck are you? And that's the thing. But again, I just was digging in for the information. I said, okay, I can understand. Yeah, you guys were at that same level. You guys were trying to, you know, she understood where you were coming from. I was just giving him more of a rope to hang himself, to give himself, you know, to spill the beans.
It's hard being a grown man and being misunderstood, and you just want some kind of companionship, and you
relate, and that's how it works. Again, we're going off topic here. It's just that with our law enforcement experience, but the thing is that when the Marty Jannetty interview, if they did one, it's just that's how you do it. That's how you approach the situation. You don't go and just start sticking your finger in it. This ain't the movies. You're not going to be under a bright light sweating, and they're right behind you just grilling you.
The only thing they're going to do is you go into that trying to strong arm them. And like Angel said, I know we got off topic, but it all kind of ties in together. But
absolutely.
But and just to reiterate what Angel's saying, if you go in there, bullet like a shot out of the barrel, and you're trying to strong arm him, first thing he's going to do, he's going to put his guard up,
close up,
and then he's going to lawyer up, and you're fucked.
You know, you try to befriend him, you try to make him feel comfortable. You know, it's like this is just a random conversation. We just want to clear this up so we could get these files off our desk, because we have a lot of work to do. We have really cases that we could solve. We just want this off the table. So give us your side of the story, Marty, in regards to this matter. Let's just start with the post. See how that flows, how it's just relaxed.
Like it definitely flows into the conversation. But you made a very good point, Kevin, when you said, you know, he blocks up and he lawyers up. If he automatically has a lawyer coming into that interview, the first one with him, is that automatically in your mind go, this motherfucker's guilty?
No.
And does your approach change in that conversation with a lawyer present?
Yes.
Yeah.
It has
to. Okay. So how would you then approach it if say, all right, I'm Marty Jannetty, Angel's my solicitor?
Well, it really can't be done like that. And the reason being is when they have their lawyer with them, that you're no longer talking to that person. You were talking to their lawyer, and their lawyer is telling them everything they can and cannot answer. They're telling them when to speak. They're telling them when to shut up. They're telling them when basically to wipe their ass. So the conversation changes drastically. But just because somebody comes in with a lawyer, it does not instantly make us think that they're guilty, because some people are cautious. I personally, even if I know I did nothing wrong, I'm a cop and I still won't talk to a cop without a lawyer. It's just smart.
I mean, it's the same thing. The problem is that like when you pull somebody over, and again, we going off topic, but it just kind of molds into one topic. But anyway, when you get stopped by a cop, right, and you get a citation in regards to that, the first thing the cop says, "Oh, sir, this is the ticket you're gonna get, and you're free to go. But before I let you go, is it possible I could search your vehicle?" 9 out of 10 motherfuckers are gonna go, yeah, you can, because they're afraid to say no, because then it seems like they're doing a mission of guilt if they say no, like I got something wrong. But you have a right to say no and tell them to go pound sand and push forward. Sand. Yeah, because he already told you you're free to go. But before I let you go, can I search your vehicle? But people think it's an automatic. I have to tell them yes. So even if you lawyer up, doesn't mean you're guilty.
If you've got nothing in your car that's going to be that you give a fuck, you know what I mean? Like if you've only got gym socks and fucking.
So let me play devil's advocate really quick. Let me just play devil's advocate really quick because this happens all the time. Piers, I just pulled you over. I wrote you a citation. I'm letting you go. You got nothing to hide. You are a law-abiding citizen. Good to go. Okay. Hey, you mind if I
okay.
Take a phone call from your wife, Ashley. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just cut out there for a second. You said you pulled me over. I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Yeah, you're a law-abiding citizen. I'm about to let you go. You've got nothing in your car. And I asked you if I can take a look. But unbeknownst to me, like 5 minutes ago, Ashley just called you, told you your daughter had a nasty fall down the stairs. You're trying to get home. You say, no, you can't search my car. Does that mean you're guilty? No, it means you got a hurt child at home and you got to go. So no, it doesn't always necessarily mean that you're guilty. It doesn't make you look guilty. It is your right to say no.
And the thing is, when you lawyer up, that's fine. You lawyer up, but you're afraid. You don't want to say anything to incriminate you. Remember that word, incriminate. Even if it's a mistake, if you say something that the story doesn't match up because you're nervous and stuff like that, that's why you're like, you know what? Let me talk to my lawyer, because then your lawyer is the one that's representing you, and you just sit there like this, and they say, hey, Mr. Medina, whatever question they ask, and the lawyer's like, hold on a second.
When the lawyer's there, you can pretty much take a nap.
Yeah, the lawyer's the one talking, and he just stops you anytime you're about to say something. Hold on a second, I'll handle this, right? And that's the thing. Do you have?
It's that 2-finger tap on the shoulder. Shut up.
Yeah,
shut up.
So
yeah, but you know what? That's the thing. And look, getting back on track to Marty Jannetty here, because everything coincides. We do go off topic. Everyone who's watching this, but we always bring it back to the story.
But it's important to talk about the law enforcement side so people can understand how the process is if he gets called in.
Absolutely. And one of the things I want to ask is this. Okay, so they investigate it. It all turns out to be a drunken fucking post. Can he be charged with anything, like putting out a false statement or basically bullshitting online? Or
you've been saying for years you had a big dick. You don't see the cops knocking on your door saying you freaking false. Kevin's thinking like, that's true.
No, but you know where I'm coming from. You've said on a public post in a public forum, I have made someone disappear. Oh, I was just fucking around.
Did he?
Allegedly.
No, that's not what I'm at. I'm not asking, did he make somebody disappear? I'm asking, did he post it?
He posted it and deleted it.
Go down the rabbit hole with me for a second here, Piers. This is your phone now.
Yep.
This is your phone with your social media information.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Angel, want to see me prank Piers? Check this out. I murdered somebody when I was 13 because they touched my tiny little ball sack. Did you post it?
No.
You see where I'm getting at with this?
Mm-hmm. But it still came from your account. It still came from that. Who were you with?
Doesn't matter. This is why cell phone conversations are inadmissible.
What, and even social media posts as well?
For the exact reason I just told you.
Yeah. That's
does it give you something to go off of? Yes, but are you is it probable cause? Absolutely not.
I mean, it's almost like going back in time in the Velveteen Dream. Oh, somebody hacked into my account and did this and that. I mean,
Get the fuck out of here.
Perfect example. When at first glance, it could have been anybody. It could have been a spiteful ex. It could have been whatever. But when you pair it with everything else that happened, okay, voice recognition of phone calls have it as him. It is his phone number. It is his verified account. There was an abundance of evidence on that. But just this, off of what we're looking at right now, like I said, hey, Angel, want to see me prank Piers? Watch this.
yeah, and also you got to remember they go off an IP address. If the IP address dings at your residence, again, more evidence. See, it's a layer, man. They just don't go off the top of the fucking cake. They go all the way down to the middle of that cake to put it all together.
Yeah, no, and look, like obviously that you have to look into all the different layers and aspects of the case as well by itself. Me personally, and this is my thought on it, I just think he's a complete fucking idiot that just thought it posted something stupid. That's my honestly point. I think he killed someone?
But now it's out there, and again,
it is out there. But I'm just saying, I think he's just a fucking idiot.
And now he's telling this article saying, no, I never said I killed him. I made him disappear. I was in the car. It's just like, okay, what's the true story? They're gonna keep digging and they're gonna keep grilling him, and
that's what I'm saying. Words of a bumbling fucking idiot.
But he's gonna be in the radar for a very long time because they're gonna look at every cold case file just to say we can't exclude him from this. He's a suspect. He will, even when they look in the fucking, like, let's say he went for a job, they do the background check.
Yep.
Suspect in murder.
Because now they have a variable to these cold case files that they didn't have originally. And maybe if they plug this new variable into it, things start to click, things start to make sense. What happens if one of your cold case files of the missing persons has a medium build brown hair suspect who happened to live in the same area as Marty? And it wasn't even Marty. You just fucked yourself. The man is an idiot. This is why you shouldn't post stuff like that on social media. This is why social media can be a very good thing and a very bad thing all the way around. It can bring people together and it can do shit like this. And just remember, folks, if there's nothing else you take from this episode, if there's only one thing you listen to me on, well, two things. First, Piers is a jackass. But second,
wow.
Once you post something, whether you delete it, whether you remove it, once you post something to the internet, it is out there forever. This is a perfect example. Like I said earlier, he deleted the post within 2 hours?
Probably
but
less.
All three of us still have that post on our phone. So just because you delete something doesn't mean it's gone.
And the thing is the combination, just like anything, cocaine and alcohol, it's not a great combination.
Hillbilly heroin.
The same thing right there, brother. Alcohol, drugs, and social media does not mix, because if you put yourself in front of that computer under the influence and you start rambling bullshit and telling bitches or dudes, when I say I'm going to kill you and God forbid that bitch dies, guess who's suspect number one? Because you posted the stupid shit. That is your ass. So,
and that's the thing. Marty has a background of being a fucking drunken drug. You know what I mean? Like getting on the drinking, the drugs.
Look,
you know
I met Marty Jannetty. He's a cool dude. I mean, he's a cool dude. But let's separate my fucking feelings about the guy. Dude, you fucked up for so many years. Shut the fuck up and just pro wrestle your ass to the day you die and make your money that way. But stop chipping your teeth. Stop sniffing the coke, meth, whatever you're doing that is turning you into a blumbling idiot on social media, because it's just going to jack you up further in life. Period. Point blank.
And he's been doing this on social media for years, like doing stupid fucking posts, fucking saying how he's taking X amount of fucking cocaine and alcohol and all this excessiveness, to the point where like the guy is just in, as I said, it looks like he's been in self-destruction for fucking nearly 30 years. Like, at what point do people just go, fuck, Marty's at it again?
He has battled his old demons, and he's been like that for years, and he is the Randy the Ram of there are a lot of Randy the Rams. I'm just using that because he just the guy is just a fuck up, man. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but a nice guy, a very humble guy from all the meetings I had with him. But like I said, separating Angel from the wrestling world, he's just a fuck up, man. I mean, grow the fuck up. You're 60 years old, man. You only have so much to live, and you got to make your life worth something. Like I said, I know I joke about the Bronx Tale, but that's the one thing. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent, and that's what he did. He had all the talent in the world. He was no less than Shawn Michaels. They were equal, but Shawn Michaels took the reins and ran with the ball. And I just think that he was a hell of a talent, and he could have been something.
And the thing is, the opportunity that he got.
That's what I'm saying.
Like the opportunity after opportunity. You know, Royal Rumble '93, turning up intoxicated or under the influence, then turning around saying, no, I was just tired. You're going out there in a major pay-per-view for WWF and you're going to go, oh man, like I'm really tired. I'm really finding it hard to stay awake. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
And again, his defense, there's other fuck ups as well. You know, I mean, Hardy, you know, coming into the Sting match all doped up and his career still pushing forward. You know, how many chances he got. So again, it depends on who the person is and who gets the best opportunity to get a second chance. And nobody just gave him the olive branch of friendship to help him better himself to get to that level. And again, he should have realized that, I need to change my life. Again, it just depends on the person and depends on the situation they're in at the time, who's going to help them, who's not going to help them. Again, Kevin, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. But guys, we have hit the 1 hour mark. I think we've covered a lot of stuff on here. As this case continues, as more details come out, we may be doing a second part to this, depending on, what evidence comes to light, what the police find, whether they just throw it out, whatever the case may be. We'll definitely stay on top of this. And if more breaking news happens, we'll definitely have a part 2 to it as well.
And before we go, I just want to say to the fans out there, this is not a Marty Jannetty bashing session. This is looking at the facts, and again, not even the facts. We're just looking at the story, and we're just pulling the layers back and looking at it and giving our spin to it. Again, he's an innocent individual until proven guilty under the eyes of the court. So please don't take our words like we're trying to smash that motherfucker and think he's a piece of shit.
These are just opinions of our own.
Opinions, and we're looking at stories, and we're just talking about it. So, again, we'll dig in deeper if something comes up.
We really only have the one thing to go off of as of this point, and that is the post and that the police have opened up an investigation. So those are the only things we could really talk about in our personal experiences that relate to them. Mine as a current police officer, Angel, yours as a former police officer, and Piers, yours as a safety risk management officer. So there's a lot of things that we can cover, but we don't want to lie to you guys. We just want to cover what we know to be fact and our opinions on that. So like I said, we'll stay on top of this as it develops. And the more details come out, the more we will be willing to talk about it. But just before we get out of here, guys, we want to give a huge shout out to A-Rock Designs for sponsoring the show. This is a custom business where she makes amazing artwork in the form of shirts, hoodies, hats, keychains, custom cups like the one Piers has. If you want to get your hands on any merchandise like that, make sure you go to arockdesigns.com or A-Rock Designs on Facebook and place your orders there. Also, My On Belts on Facebook. If you're looking to start your belt collection or add to your belt collection, much like myself, Angel, and Piers, we all have belts on order with My On Belts because they're the absolute best belt maker in the world. A payment plan as low as $20 a paycheck, guys. So make sure you go check out Eddie and Ira Williams as they appear in all the Facebook groups. Tell them Wrestling with Tragedy sent you. It's not going to do anything for you, and it's not going to do anything for us. We just like it when people talk about us. And lastly, the biggest shout out of them all is to Mr. Vince Russo. Vince, we really do appreciate the chance to bring our show onto your new platform. So if you guys are watching this on the Wrestling with Tragedy page, make sure you go to youtube.com, search the Vince Russo Network, head over, check out our videos over there. Let Vince know that Wrestling with Tragedy does come with a very loyal and very, very eager fan base.
A strong fan base.
Strong.
With that being said, guys, on this particular case, for this particular day, we are adjourned.